Hello there, and good evening. It's been a while. You'll have to excuse my voice. I am down with a cold at the moment, so I feel like crap. But I thought I would just get on to the video. I have done like one Metal Gear, or maybe two actually, on Metal Gear Solid Delta. But I wanted just to give a quick retrospective of after finishing it. I think I finished it about 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. I've started a hardcore playthrough, but I haven't finished it yet. Same with Resident Evil 4, I've done a hardcore playthrough of that. But onto the Metal Gear thing. Is this game worth it compared to obviously the PS5 collection, which is substantially cheaper? I believe this cost me just over £50. I think it's about 55. This is just this, well, as it says, Day One edition, which is just the ordinary edition. You get a tuxedo. There was the collector's edition or deluxe edition, which has now come down in price, ironically, which I might have got because it had a steel case and some other nice bits with it. But it was just basically for like at the time it was about 60. It was over 64 or 74. I can't remember, and it was just basically some cards in the steel case. The steel case would have been nice, but the rest of it is just, and obviously more skins. It's just kind of fluff, to be honest, for an extra 10, 50, between 10 and £20 extra. Just to me, it wasn't worth it. But obviously, after finishing this, I've enjoyed it thoroughly. It's the same great game it always was. Obviously, that is obviously the better collection in terms of the value. 3 games for the price of 1. Obviously, SnakeEater, otherwise known as Delta, with a remake. The games are exactly the same. Obviously, there's some touch-ups in terms of graphics. The graphics look fantastic on Delta. It's a much more polished version of that game. It's the same audio, it's the same dialogue and everything. And I mean, I guess the pros and cons, obviously, that this is much cheaper, and obviously you're getting Metal Gear 2 and Metal Gear Solid 1, which are... 2 is just as playable as 1, as long as you can deal with like PS2 graphics and the jankiness of the controls. Obviously, with Metal Gear Delta, there are some improvements on the graphics, such as the ability to crouch now while walking, whereas with the original version, it was either upright walking or you had to go. You were laid on the floor and crawled. But with Delta, they've made it so you can actually crouch as well, which makes the game, I guess, a little bit easier generally. But there's a touch of improvements here. Control system is slightly. This is similar, but it's slightly different. They've made a few changes just to modernize it so it works more for modern players. There's a 75 gig on the hard drive, so that's a fair size, but that's not as big as something like, say, Call of Duty. Obviously, you've got your PS5 Pro enhancement. If you've got a PS5 Pro, I must say I have been tempted myself. Only because I think this generation is going to go on a lot longer than we realise, because I think with the RAM prices, although supposedly Sony has locked-in supply, or I don't fully understand what's going on there, but maybe they've allocated enough memory to last for a year or two, I don't know. The whole OpenAI crap is just pathetic. These companies just trying to get... It just irritates me. I don't know a thing about it, but it just irritates me. The greed and the fact that RAM prices are through the roof. Same with SSDs. To some degree have gone up, and certain types of... anything that uses memory, basically, my really basic understanding of it. So I'm glad I got 32 gigs of RAM on PC when I did, about a year or 2 back. But hopefully, it's just a fad. It'll blow over. I know people say AI is the next big thing, and it might be, but it's a fad. It'll blow over. It's the people say, oh, it's different to crypto. Again, in a couple of years, this stuff will be completely normal, and there won't be a great deal of money. Although, I mean, I can't say for sure. But hopefully it goes away and we can get back to enjoying the stuff we enjoy. So, yeah. So as I said, back to Sony have allocated so much memory for their system. So Xbox apparently haven't, though. So they could have some issues, but Xbox have got a lot of other problems. So I think we'll leave it there. But so yeah, between the two of them, I do think this is worth picking up, especially now. I'm sure you could probably find it on a sale. I can't imagine it's as expensive. So obviously, your boss fights are pretty much the same. Obviously, much better graphics in terms of visual clarity and stuff. The fear is always a fun one. He attacks you in the trees. Throws. I won't blow it too much, but he throws obstacles and projectiles at you and stuff. Um, and he's probably the creepiest of those boss fights, to be honest. The Fury is the flamethrower dude, who is quite possibly one of the more, I wouldn't say tougher fights, but generally a fun fight, definitely. I've got it up on the screen, as you can see. And I give Metal Gear is very much known for memorable boss fights and stuff. The only one I used actual weapons like fully on was, or to completely take out, was Volgan, which was an interesting boss fight. And yeah, I like it's the same great game it always was. Well, if you like Metal Gear, obviously. The Sorrow is weird. The Sorrow is just it's quite creative in that you can. I won't blow it, but the way you take him out is it might take a while to figure out, because it's not as black and white as simple as you'd think it would be. But I won't blow it for you. I mean, the game is 20 plus years old at this point, but and he's got a relation to the boss as well, and I believe Ocelot. I think the end is one of the best boss fights I've ever played in terms of a boss fight in a game. In terms of the creativity, the end is just an old man with a sniper rifle. Now, I made the mistake of, and I've always fought him in the original game when I played it on PS2, on the PS3 version, that is the collection that also has. That's the American one, but obviously PS3's is region free on PS3 games, as far as I'm understanding. It has the Metal Gear 1 original game on it as well, but unfortunately there's a code on PSN. It didn't come on the disc, so the code's going to be well expired at this point. So, but yeah. So, but he's a very, very creative boss fight out of any boss fight I've ever played. I made the mistake of taking him out in the cutscene. You can take him out after the cutscene plays. You can just shoot him, and that's what I did. And I got the achievement for it, but I'm going to go back through again and play it the other way, because that boss fight can take up to an hour, maybe longer, if you're not clued up on how he sort of predicts where you move and stuff. You could be literally playing like a hide and seek game with the end for hours upon hours if you wish. It's so much fun and so creative. You can do things like on the PS2 version, I believe, if you and this is dependent on whether your PS2 clock still works. Unfortunately, mine doesn't, and I need to actually, I've been saying it, but whether I do it at some point is rip the PS2 open and replace the clock battery with a new one, so I can then, because you could, like, basically on your PS2 version, you can fast forward the time on your clock, and he would die of old age. There's all sorts of creative ways you can take him out, and it's probably one of the best boss fights I've played in any game, if I'm honest. It just sticks with you. It's one of those boss fights that's incredible. The Ocelot boss fight is just very much a very simple fight, but Ocelot in this he's obviously he's a young chap in this. He's absolutely totally different to the Ocelot you've seen in all the other games. He's still arrogant as hell, but in an even more entertaining way. And obviously the last one would be Volgan. Volgan, sorry. The boss. The boss gave me some trouble actually in Delta, which was kind of interesting because she's not that difficult, to be honest. She shouldn't be. I think I was getting a bit frustrated with the fact that when she can interrupt like your animations when you're fighting her, so I was never doing enough damage. In the end, I got so frustrated I took a breather from it and went back to it after like a day or two, and I just kept using the trank rifle on her, just studied her, because she disarms you, so you have to find your weapons again, which was really, really irritating. I'd forgot how irritating that trait actually was. But it's quite a sad story as well, you know, Metal Gear. As I've said many times, I want to see if Konami will actually remake the MSX games, because those games really do deserve a full remake. We want to see like the whole the fall of Snake, or the fall of Big Boss, to become basically, I won't call him necessarily a villain, but he becomes, it's kind of the same thing like with Star Wars, like Anakin's downfall. It's like the big boss's downfall. It's going to be a similar sort of thing, and it's going to be interesting if they were to do that, to actually see how that play out, how he would encounter, basically his clones, his sons, who basically he's been cloned, and given the fact there's like, I think it's three. There's Solidus, Liquid, Snake, which obviously all comes to a head in Guns of the Patriots. Still, to this day, stuck on PS3, or whether it'll come to the next Master Collection 2, I really don't know. And you can play Metal Gear. I mean, you get it digitally. It's very, very easy to get. All of them are available, barring Twin Snakes. Obviously, they're all available. Those versions, though, are based on the I've totally lost it now. Are based on the so they're based on the HD versions, which would have been the Subsistence PS2, Metal Gear 2 Subsistence, and Metal Gear Solid SnakeEater Subsistence version. They had better camera controls and stuff, and they had some mini games. They've actually got the mini game. I think this one's got Ape Escape, I believe, and it's got a different one for the Xbox, I believe. But that is the big question, and I have sort of shown this before, if I can actually pick the damn thing up. Obviously, I don't know if a Legacy Twin Snakes will come. This is quite an expensive one, to be honest. Now you are talking, I think, about £60 to £80, maybe more now. It's an interesting version of the game. I have gone through it before. It's based on the Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty engine, as far as I'm aware. It's excellent. Whether it'll come to that Legacy Collection or Master Collection, I really don't know. You would hope so, because that is the best way to play Metal Gear Solid 1. For a more modern generation, I prefer the original, just because the music is more, I think it's just more iconic. I like Twin Snakes. It was well worth picking up on GameCube. But that's a big question mark, whether that'll come or not. I really don't know. It should, but you never know. So between the two of these, I would say that Delta is worth picking up, as long as you're not expecting like Resident Evil 2 remake or Resident Evil 4 remake compared to the original. Although Remake 2 I love, but it has got a few flaws. And Remake 4, Resident Evil 4, and then Resident Evil 4 Remake, this kind of might be controversial, but I actually think I love the original Resident Evil 4. It's the most accessible Resident Evil game you'll ever find. It's brilliant. But it's not my favourite Resident Evil game personally. I feel like it's just the most accessible. I feel like that I prefer survival horror, so for me, but Resident Evil 4 kind of took Resident Evil, original Resident Evil 4, 2005, and just enhances it in every way. It very much the same with Delta and the original SnakeEater. So I might prefer Remake 4 compared to even the original Resident Evil 4. I mean, that might be based on controls as well. Obviously, you can move and shoot, unlike the original where you can't. But I guess it's different things for different folks, I guess. So I would say Delta's definitely worth it. If you're a casual fan, maybe try this first. As long as you can deal with, like, it's still, the graphics have been touched up in SnakeEater and Sons of Liberty, and not so much, well, resolution maybe, but not massively in Metal Gear 1. But they have done improvements on it to make it run better, and because obviously it's basic pure emulation as far as I'm aware. But if you're into Metal Gear Solid or you're curious about Metal Gear, and it's on a good price, go for Delta. You're going to like it the most in terms of graphics. Controls with Metal Gear are always a bit janky, but it's something you can kind of get used to the more you play it. But if you're just curious, get this collection. I mean, unless you can get hold of, hell, if you still got PS2, I guess you can try it that way. Or the most accessible way is going to be PS3 or 360. I don't think 360's got the legacy codes. It has got the HD re-releases though on disc. Yeah, and they're not that. They're about £25, maybe £30 tops. So if you're interested, try it that way. But I would give my high recommendation to Delta, and I hope they keep going with it. They're doing well with Silent Hill. I still need to finish that, Silent Hill 2. And I never did finish the original either, for saying that. But no, I like this. It's well worth its money. And it's the most accessible way to play now. So I think I'll leave it there. My voice is starting to destroy itself. But thank you for the time, and enjoy your gaming. Peace.